Imagine waking up in the dead of winter. The wind is howling outside. Temperatures have plummeted below freezing, and the news alerts on your phone are screaming red. For the second time in a decade, the unthinkable has happened. The gas valves turning east to west have been shut tight. We all remember the energy crisis of 2022. The price spikes, the panic, the scrambling for alternatives. Europe survived, but many believe the continent is safe now. But the truth is far more fragile. A significant portion of Europe's energy security is still hanging by a thread, and that thread is about to snap. So, what exactly happens if Europe loses the remaining flow of Russian gas? Not in 2022, but today, in a market that thinks the worst is over. First, we need to look at the map. While the Nord Stream pipelines are gone, gas still flows into Europe through transit routes, specifically via Ukraine. Countries like Austria, Slovakia, and Hungary are still heavily reliant on these molecules. For them, the war in Ukraine isn't just a geopolitical tragedy, it's an energy lifeline. The critical trigger point is the transit agreement between Kyiv and Moscow. It is set to expire, and there is zero political will to renew it. If that transit stops, roughly 14 billion cubic meters of gas vanish from the European market overnight. That sounds like a statistic, but here is what it looks like in reality. Phase 1 is the price shock. Energy markets are psychological. The moment the supply is confirmed cut, traders panic. Even if you live in Spain or the UK, far from the Russian pipelines, your bills go up, because gas is a global commodity. When Central Europe gets desperate, they start buying everything they can. This leads to the LNG scramble. Liquefied natural gas carried by massive ships becomes the only savior. But there is a catch. Global LNG supply is tight. Europe has to outbid Asia for every single cargo. If winter is cold in China and Japan at the same time, the bidding war becomes brutal. We saw this in 2022. Prices skyrocketed to 10 times the average. If that happens again, the industrial consequences are immediate. Germany's chemical giants, Italy's steel mills, and manufacturers across the continent face a choice: pay the exorbitant rates or shut down production. This is the specter of deindustrialization. Companies don't just pause, they relocate. They move to the US or the Middle East, where energy is cheap. Permanent job losses follow. We aren't just talking about cold homes. We are talking about a structural hit to the European economy that could last decades. Now, let's look at the storage situation. You might hear politicians say, "Our storage is 90% full." That sounds great, doesn't it? But storage is a buffer, not a source. It's designed to handle peak demand, not to replace baseload supply for months on end. If a cold front from Siberia, the beast from the east, parks itself over Europe in January, that 90% storage drains terrifyingly fast. Without the Russian buffer, gas rationing becomes a reality. Governments will have to decide who gets energy, the hospital or the glass factory, the bakery or the heated swimming pool. Social unrest is the next domino. High bills and cold homes are a recipe for political instability. We've already seen how fragile European unity can be. If Germany hoards gas while Slovakia freezes, the European Union faces a massive internal crisis. But it's not all doom and gloom. Europe has been building defenses. Floating LNG terminals, known as FSRUs, have popped up in record time. New pipelines connecting north to south are under construction, trying to reverse the old flow that used to go east to west. However, infrastructure takes years, and we are talking about a crisis that could hit this winter. The timing is the enemy. So, what are the alternatives? Norway is already pumping at maximum capacity. They can't just turn a knob and give more. North Africa? Pipelines from Algeria are helpful, but political instability and their own domestic demand limit how much they can send north. That leaves the United States. U.S. LNG is the new backbone of European energy, but reliance on America comes with its own risks. A pause in export permits or a change in U.S. administration could rattle the supply chain just as much as a shut valve in Russia. Let's look at the environmental cost. In a desperate scramble for warmth, climate goals often get thrown out the window. Coal plants that were scheduled for demolition might be fired up again. It's a dirty survival strategy. On the flip side, this crisis accelerates the transition. Every solar panel and heat pump installed is a declaration of independence from gas. Europe is learning the hard way that energy security is national security. The days of cheap, piped gas are over forever. So the scenario is clear. If the gas stops, it won't be an apocalypse, but it will be an economic earthquake. Prices will bite, industries will bleed, and the political unity of Europe will be tested like never before. But unlike 2022, Europe knows the playbook. The element of surprise is gone, replaced by the grim determination of preparation. The winter may be cold, and the wallet may be lighter, but the lights will likely stay on. Ultimately, losing Russian gas again forces Europe to finish what it started. A painful but necessary divorce from fossil fuel dependency. What do you think? Can Europe handle another energy shock without breaking? Let me know in the comments. If you found this breakdown useful, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the geopolitics of tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and stay warm out there.